Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. You guys ready to talk about passes? All right. So, before I even start, I have a disclaimer. Whenever we are talking about passes, we're reading book about passes and magnetism, a word that always comes up is healing. So, I want to, right from the beginning, say that passes magnetic treatment, passes are a type of magnetic treatment. So we are not claiming that you can come here, receive one pass, and all your problems are going to be solved. Doesn't work like that. It may take one pass, it may take several. It depends on what's going on, it depends on your body, it depends on energy. So I want you to have a clear idea that we're not saying, come here, we're going to solve all your problems, okay? So let's start on the beginning. Let's create a basis, uh, a foundation here, and talk about definitions of healing and health. So, right out of the dictionary, healing means restore health, as basic as it is, restore health. Now, for our medical professionals, they say, wait a minute, there's a little more to that. Health is the absence of diseases or disturbances. Now, World Health Organization came up and say, we have a better idea. For us, what we think health really is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Exactly. So if we're just looking here on the medical definition, we're like, oh, okay, I feel good, okay, so I'm healthy. But then when we look here, it's a complete physical, mental, and social well being. So it's like, maybe I'm not as healthy as I'm thinking. But now for us, let's elevate a little bit more. In the Spirit Center for Spiritists, what we think health means. What is our definition of health? And for that, we ask the help from Emmanuel, the spiritual mentor of Chico Xavier. And in the book, The Consoler, there's one question that he's answered talking about health, says that it is the perfect harmony of the soul. So we're not just talking about physical body, we're not just talking about our mind, we're talking about the perfect harmony of the soul. And he goes a little bit further and say, in order to achieve this, however, it is often necessary to receive valuable contributions in form of illnesses. So that goes completely away from what we are talking about, what health is, and deficiencies pertaining to earth. So we are talking about, yes, physical body, spiritual body, but we may need those illnesses. We may need that to go through a step to achieve the harmony of our soul. So the goal for the passes is to restore, promote healing. But we are spirits, we are dealing with the natural law of action and reaction. So our very own therapy may be the disease that we are trying to combat. It may be the deficiency. So if the past cannot help us achieve healing, because that's something that we need to go through, what can it do? The past can now actually help us to alleviate the suffering. So if I cannot cure, I'm going to be alleviating the suffering. It may give me more energy, be able to deal with all the illnesses, all the deficiencies, whatever I need to go through. So it goes a lot further than our regular science definition. Now let's talk a little bit about passes and magnetism throughout history. So magnetism is not a modern concept. It's not something that Spiritism came along and create passes, create magnetism. This is something that's inherent to us. So wherever we are, whenever we are, we will see cases and types of magnetism therapies happening. So you can find accounts through ancient Egypt, China, India, Celtics, Druids, Native Americans, Greece, Rome, Hebrew, everywhere the humans are, we will see that happening because it is something inherent to our physicality. Now, in the 18th century, this guy here came along and he started to deeply study magnetism. And his name is Anton Mesmer. So throughout his research, he gave an immense contribution to not only understanding magnetism, but how to use that for a healing purpose. You may have heard before somebody saying, "Oh, I was mesmerized by her eyes." So that magnetic pull kind of feeling that we talk about when we're saying something is mesmerizing, we're paying homage to his research and to his name. So right after that, Baron Dupotet came along and Joseph Deleuze came along and they started to not only study what Mesmer was already studying, but they start to develop a little bit more. So they started to trials and errors, go through techniques and how we can use specific techniques and laying of hands and many others to use for specific conditions. So we owe to those three guys a lot of what we receive here on the end of our lectures. Now, Kardec himself also studied magnetism through their studies many years before he even started to codify Spiritism. So it was not a new concept for him at all. Now, disclaimer number 2 of the night. I don't know if you guys can read right down here.
Yeah, Sabrina changes a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't look like Sabrina anymore. No, we're not talking about Sabrina's past reincarnations, no. Although she's so proficient in magnetism that who knows? But those pictures, I thank her for letting me use that tonight. She actually colored all of those 4 pictures. And I don't know if you had a chance to see, she did many other portraits, and it's just amazing. So not only she is our go-to person about magnetism, she's also an artist. Okay, so we talk about definitions, we talk about history, but okay, tell me, what are passes after all? Tell me what it is. So passes are expression of love above it all. So Jesus taught us, love your neighbor. So for us, this is a amazing way to put his teachings, his recommendation into practice. We come here, we give passes, we are expressing love to our neighbors. So passes, it's one of the modality of magnetic healing therapy. There are many others out there. Recently, two that became quite proficient are Heiki. I'm pretty sure everybody heard about Heiki by now. Another one is magnetic healing touch. A lot of nurses are using that in the hospital when they actually touch the patients and direct a flow of thought, and they promote healing that way. Now, for us here, as a spiritist center, the way we use magnetism, it's through a transmission of fluid, like a transfusion of energy from the past giver to the receiver. So, using the lay of hands or the passing of hands, we promote this, we pass this energy. So, that's why we call passes, because we're actually passing your hands through the chakra points of the person receiving the pass. Now, here at Peace and Knowledge, specifically for us, I know that we study extensively how to use different techniques, how to first of all we study what it is, the basis of magnetism, and then go through the techniques so we can provide not only a harmonizing, balancing path, but we can also help with different situations. So if any of you came here every on a Wednesday night, going to the fraternal counseling, going through specific conditions that you may have received a little form that has some codes. Those codes are actually telling the past giver that you have one specific condition so they can use specific techniques for your need. So that's something that we provide here. Now, there are different types of passes. We have spiritual passes. That's when spiritual benefactors will donate their energy, their spiritual energy, to the receiver. That has no, um, most likely, no pass giver on that transaction there. The other type would be the magnetic passes. They'll be exclusive, the pass giver giving its own magnetic energy, its own vital fluids to the receiver with no help or aid from a spirit. Now, the most common that we see here will be the combined one. There'll be the circumstance that we have here in this picture where one spirit is donating its spiritual fluids through the past giver, combining with their magnetic, their vital energy, and depositing and aiding the receiver here on the end. This is the most common one. This is the one that usually have better effect because then we are combining both types of energies. We are able to help the physical body, the spiritual body, and the perispirit. Um, now, how does it all happen? What are the mechanisms? So to understand anything about passes, we need to talk about fluids. So as I was preparing this lecture, I'm there Saturday night. Okay, let's do this, and I'm getting all the source, and then I ended up with 2 pages just talking about fluids. And then I step back and I'm like, no, I don't think they want to sit there and listen, take an hour just talking about fluids. So I'm gonna very crudely shrink 2 pages of notes into one phrase here, talking about fluids. And this is the vision of physical science. So fluids are the matter, the solid, not the solids, but the matter that cannot contain, cannot hold its form without a container. So solid, something is solid, it's solid. But if we're talking about liquids or gases, if I drop water here, it's not gonna fall to the floor in a little form of a cup. It's gonna just disperse. The same will be with gas. If you pop a balloon, if you take the form, the gas will just dissipate. So that's something that we consider fluid. Now, when we talk about universal fluid, universal cosmic fluid, that's what goes into the mechanism of passes. So the universal cosmic fluids is the primordial, the primitive element that creates everything, encompasses everything, it's everywhere. So one form of this universal cosmic fluid is the vital fluid. So the universal cosmic fluid will be creating both the spiritual world and the material world. So we'll have both types of properties and how they connect to each other. So one of these properties is the vital fluid. The vital fluid is the condensation of fluid that it's within our body as we are incarnated here on earth. So for me, the best analogy that I'll have with that would be a battery. So it's the energy that's contained into a body, and it can be depleted, it can be replenished. Um, it differs from the amount that will be in a person. It will differ in the amount that will be in different living beings, but that's the primordial element condensed into one physical body. And the other thing that we need to talk about on the mechanisms of passes will be chakras. So chakras, now we have many studies that confirm the secular belief that many cultures already told us, that we do have central energies in our body. So like little vortexes, like little power plants, and it has several points throughout our body, and it controls how the flow of energy happens. So depending on how the flow is going, it will make a difference on how we are feeling, um, how we can receive and donate the fluids too. So if it harmonizes our three bodies, our spirit, our physical body, and the perispirit, that the subtle body that allows the physical and the spirit to connect and relate to each other. Now, if you wanna understand this a little bit deeper, to understand vital fluids, universal fluids, I strongly suggest you to read chapter 14 on the book of Genesis. So this is the one time on the lecture that you can pull up your phone, make a little note, go home tonight, read chapter 14 of Genesis on the codification. It will explain deeply how those fluids are, what the properties are, and how they're connecting, and it will help you understand a little bit further the mechanisms of passes. Everybody with me? All right, so let's talk a little more about these chakras, these little energetic power plants throughout our body. So we have 7 main chakras. Not only Peter, I want everybody to help me name them. So the first one here, the crown chakra. So it's aiming up, like you see here in this picture. It's the one right on top of our heads. Then the next one, it's the brown chakra, the brow chakra, also known as the third eye, because it's right here in the center of our forehead. Then we have the throat chakra. What about this one? Coronary, cardiac, and the heart chakra. Then a little bit below here, we have the solar plexus right on top of our stomach, right there. Sorry? Then we have the splenic. The splenic is a little bit unusual guy. All the other ones are pretty much aligned with our spine. The splenic is a little bit to the side. So if you keep your eyes open when you're receiving a pass, you may see that sometimes they come to the side a little bit, and that's what they're doing. They're working on that splenic chakra. And then we have the root chakra, right on the base of our spines. So all the properties that allow the flow between the chakras, it's magnetism. It's a property of our vital fluid. It does allow this flow, and allows when we are interacting with each other through those centers of energies. Um, Another thing that the magnetism will help on the replenishing of those when we're depleted of energy, or if we are congested with too much energy and not enough flow, that's what we use, the magnetism that we use to balance everything. Now, the other important part of how it is done, huge important part is the past giver mental attitude. That's a process that it's taken very seriously, at least here. I can attest to that the group that's going through training now to become past givers, they are training for about almost a year and a half now. And guess what day is the meetings? Friday night, yes. Very happy hour for those classes. Friday night, they get together and they talk about magnetism. We go through trainings of how to do it, all those techniques, extensive training about the fluids that we mentioned before. So that's an important part, but there will be nothing if they didn't have the proper mental attitude. And this is what we're going to talk next. Because it's not just knowing what to do, wanting to do, it's a huge responsibility. Because we are dealing with people here. We're dealing with you guys here. So you come with whatever's happening in your life and you're seeking for help. We are not going to just tell somebody, oh, you learn a few techniques, come here and give pass. No, it's a process. So one of the responsibilities that a pass giver will hold is physical health. They need to be well to give help. So if they're coming here on a Thursday night on a condition that they're weak or they are sick or they're needing a pass, they're not going to be able to give you a pass, right? So they need to be careful. They need to be aware of their own bodies, their own mental capacity to be able to give this help, this energy. Um, they need to be also in control of things that will affect their health. So, smoking, drugs, alcohol, overeating, undereating, all those things that do affect our physical body, they need to be able to control those situations. They need to be able also to maintain the requirements that their body will need of replenishing fluids afterwards. They'll need to have proper nutrition, they'll need to have proper rest. Rest is something that nowadays our society we put at last on our list of needs. And past giver understand that this is a requirement. They need to replenish that. So next week they can come here and give passes instead of having to receive pass from somebody else. Another huge important responsibility is the moral and the mental balance. A pass giver cannot be a perfect person holding all the requirements throughout the whole week. Thursday morning, they have a fight with their spouse, they scream at their kids, they go to work and have anger fits, they build up anger, resentment, jealousy on their bodies, and then come here and try to give us what? Nobody wants that. We want something good, right? So they need to be super careful. They need to know how to prepare throughout the day for the services that they're going to be doing here later on tonight. Um, the, the moral, it's a given. We need to be able to connect with the spirits. We need to be able to hold high ideals for ourselves in order to have the connection, that channel open and clear off any interferences. So the way to accomplish that will be through checking our morals, checking our mental balance. This is a requirement. It's not something that's optional. Goodwill and prayer. This is the channel. This is how they put themselves in a position that they want to give, they want to help. It's take the selfishness away. This is the time that they have to give back to brothers and sisters, to the community. Um, the, the way they they hold the thoughts as being healthy, charitable, and we are all humans. We know how hard that is. So not only there's a study involved, there's commitment. It is a daily personal struggle to be able to maintain all that. Also, a commitment. A person cannot be a past giver and show up here if they feel like. Imagine if we are all here today to receive a pass, and then we have to look in there and say, well, nobody came today, so sorry, we can go home now. That'll be a disservice to everybody here that's expecting. So it is a commitment with themselves. It is a commitment with the person that's coming here to receive the pass. It's a commitment with the group of the pass givers. One is depending on the other, because not only they work as a group, they have a preparation, they have a synchronicity of thoughts and of feelings that helps elevate the vibration in the room. Um, I already mentioned the commitment of the preparation. That already say enough to me that that's an awesome group of people, because if they're willing to put 2 years of training to come here and sometimes see you for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, we look at them and see, yeah, it was 3 minutes, it was nice, but there's a lot more going on that until now we didn't know about it, right? Another thing that they need to be always reaching for is self-improvement. The question, if I'm not mistaken, you guys correct me, 919, how to be a better person. Know thyself. So they need to be always looking for their own attitudes, know what their triggers are. They need to be looking for the best way that they can be that day. We're not saying that they're perfect, because if they were perfect, they wouldn't be incarnated here right now. But they have that eagerness, they have that search for perfection. So they look at themselves and they know what their problems are, or what their faults are, and then they work on it. Next day, they do a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better. So this is something that it is a requirement, because if we're trying to be better, we're always going to be looking for good qualities. We're always going to be looking to give more, to alleviate our brothers and sisters' suffering. Very much needed too, it's humility. A lot of times when we are helping somebody, we think that we are helping somebody. And in a case of a pass, sometimes our amount of energy that's coming, it's not even something that we can pride ourselves on. It could be little, it could be mostly spiritual energy. So the past giver cannot have the vanity of thinking that they are curing somebody, or that they are helping a condition to be better. Anytime that they step on that direction, they are already going against the moral and mental balance. So this is another thing that they always need to keep on check. And above all, love. Why would they be here doing any of this job if it wasn't for love? Right? It is a primordial need to help another person, and that's the way that they found that they can be of service, that they can offer help the best way that they can prepare themselves for. All right, a lot of responsibilities, right? But guess what? They're not the only one responsible. When you come here to receive a pass, you have a little bit of responsibility too. So it doesn't matter how many years they study, how how much time they put into keep their moral, their mental balance, and doing all their responsibilities. If they get here to give you a pass and you're not open for, you're not willing and receptive, nothing's gonna happen. That's gonna go absolutely nowhere. It will be energy that will be just dissipate because you are closed up. You're not going to receive that. So we have our own set of responsibilities, and it all be starting with being open and willing to receive. Um, Seek a reverent state of mind. Whenever you put yourself in a position that you are reverent, even if you're just like Marcia read on the message early today, even if you're just keeping quiet, just keeping serene, that goes already a long way. Better yet, if you put yourself with higher thoughts, with connecting with whatever you call superior power. This will be when you are opening the channel so you can receive the energies they're coming towards you. Willingness to self improvement. So, just as the past giver is always looking to do that, we need to put ourselves in the same position. So, the therapy of passes, we may think that starts right after lecture, right after with the vibration, we go into the little room, right? That's the end of the therapy. The real therapy starts when we are willing to self-improve. That means we're willing to come here at 7 o'clock and to listen to a lecture. We're willing to be here during the vibrations, giving our best to somebody else, to the world, to the environment. That's already the biggest part of any healing therapy. When we are doing our part, we are making ourselves in a position to be better. One, have you guys heard? I'm pretty sure you all heard about the placebo effect. That's when drug companies were doing trials to make sure that their drugs actually work. So they separate groups of people. So one people receive the real drug, other people receive sugar pill or something else that didn't have the active ingredient that they are studying. During those trials, what they found out is that about 30% of the people receiving the placebo, that means no active ingredient, they were getting better. So how is that possible? So science was then proving to us that we have the ability to help ourselves just with the power of our mind. So if we are here open and willing to receive, we're already setting our state of mind for that healing. We're already preparing our bodies for. And also, it doesn't say here, but there's such a thing as nocebo effect. That even if we are receiving the help, if we're close up, if we're believing this is not gonna help me, it's not gonna help you. So that's how important it is for us to be prepared for it. Um, that preparation, many times when we're starting our lectures here on Thursday, remember we say, make sure, prepare yourself for the day, wake up, pray, or elevate your mind, say at least thank you. Take at least 4 hours or so refraining from drugs, from alcohol, from heavy meals when you're coming for the meeting, because it will help when you go through passes. So this is exactly why we're talking about that. So you have all those open channels. So the preparation that we mention every quite often before the meetings This is exactly what we're talking about. We are preparing our bodies for, we are preparing our mental conditions for. All right? Everybody's still with me? All right. Since I know you guys, whenever we ask questions, usually nobody asks anything. I brought you the questions today also. So if I don't cover your questions, make sure you tell me and I'll have Livia answer them to you. So when I ask people when we're talking about passes, and most of the time they come and they ask me, one of the things that always come up is the posture. When I go to the pass, do I keep my eyes open? Can I keep my eyes open? Or should I keep close my eyes? Or what do I do with my hands? Or how do I act when I get in there? So the answer is whatever makes you comfortable. If you need to keep your eyes open, that's okay. If you need to close your eyes, that's okay too. Most of people prefer to close their eyes so they tune out the distractions so that they can be completely in the moment, concentrating, receiving those energies. They are not going to be distracted by light underneath the door or by the movements that somebody else is doing or somebody else is sniffling. Most people close their eyes in a way just to keep centered. Hands you can keep on your lap, up, down, doesn't really matter. As long as you are open to receive the pass, you're in that state of mind, prepare for it, it will go a long way. What about requests? Can I ask something? What if I'm feeling, I don't know, my stomach's not feeling well today, or I have pain on my knee? Can I request specific passes for that? You can. They may concentrate energies on their location, or they may disperse energies on their location. They will have, through their techniques, they'll have a way of feel and see if there's anything um, blocking, exactly, blocking the flow of energy in there. So yes, you can request something. If you do come and say, oh, by the way, I have cancer on my spleen, can you do a special pass for that? That's a little bit more than that. For that kind of request, you need to come and talk to us probably on a Wednesday night, or just call one of us with little name tag here and say, hey, I have a condition that I would like to learn how passes can help me with that. And for that, there will be different types of passes, of course. Not something that we'll do here after a lecture, but there is a way that we can help you with that. What about water? Sometimes we see people going with a little bottle of water. Sometimes we see people going with a gallon of water. They put down on the floor, they hold their hands. What do we do with that? So you can bring your bottle of water with you. You can hold it with you. You can give to the past giver if you prefer. But it most of their recommendations say that you can keep with us. The water will be magnetized also, and you can drink throughout the week. Or Peter, you want to add something to that?
Normally, we magnetize water for the treatments, not for the regular passes,
For the regular
the,
passes?
the harmonization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much
Okay.
because they use the water as a part of the treatment as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we magnetize it inside. We have here a special place that they can leave the water to be magnetized
Yes.
outside. People that are doing the harmonization.
Mm-hmm. So during the treatments of passes, we also have people that do magnet. I'm trying to put my little laser light back there. But if you look behind there on the little alcove that we have right next to the bottle of water, we have a little stand there, a little shelf that you can bring your bottle of water, put your name on the lid, just make sure we don't mix with somebody else's water, but you can put your bottle of water there, leave it there during the meeting while you're here watching the lecture, and after the pass, you can come and pick your water. That's another way of receiving treatment on their water. What about the chairs? Some people are a little unsure. Here, we do have usually team that are directing us for the passes, but some people ask me why they tell, okay, this person goes to that pass giver, or you sit here and not there. Why is that? So, like I said before, you may have come here on a Wednesday night, receive a form for special passes. So those are the circumstances that will be, okay, this person have a pretty good hold on this kind of specific passes. So we'll direct one receiver to that pass giver. So it may be a little shuffling on the chairs. But if not, as you walk in, go to the furthest one just to make a better traffic. There's no special reasons or secrets on that. Another question people ask me, why is dark in there? Just to get us. Just like here, it's easier for the eyes, have promotes us to have the little bit silence of mind, relaxation, concentration, no other reason for. So it's just for our relaxation, just to be more comfortable to us and to the past givers. Now, one very important thing to talk about is what if I go there, I'm feeling okay, and I receive a pass and suddenly I don't feel well anymore? My stomach's churning, or I get sudden headache. Should I just go home and sleep it off? And that's no, no. If you feel anything different than what you came here with, let the past giver know. Say, hey, something is happening here. I don't feel well anymore. It could be that you need a little more dispersing energy of flow of energy. It could be that you need a little more input of energy, but make sure you let somebody know. We don't want anybody to leave here not feeling well. So if you are ready, not feeling well when you come in, and you feel a little bit better, but not completely, that could be expected depending on your condition. But if you came here feeling great and suddenly I don't feel anymore, let us know. Make sure you let us know. Any other questions about passes?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to just add, if you allow me to,
Mm-hmm.
since you mentioned that for people with any kind of medical condition, uh, we would like you not to call truly anybody, but just uh, ask who can be the person
Mm-hmm.
who will explain to you the type of treatments that the center can provide. Uh, we have a person who is in charge of the passes department, and she is the person who will have a consultation with you, uh, extensive talk in details, and she will explain to you how we can help. It's a completely different type of treatment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and we just want to make sure that it's not all. We have many workers at the center, many volunteers, and not all of them. Some of them are fairly new.
Mm, yes.
Not all of them will be able to explain to you. Will direct you to the right person. So make sure that you go to the front desk and ask to have a consultation with the head of the department, and then she will get in contact with you, and we go from there. Okay?
Can I
Just
just make one more disclaimer here, Julia? Again, one of the things that we say, we never, if you're doing a medical treatment, we never recommend you to stop.
mhm,
Doesn't replace that.
perfectly. So if you are here and you do have a medical condition, do not think that the pass will replace your therapy. The pass can help the therapy. It can help how you feel about it.
She will explain that.
It will not be a replacement. You should not ever stop a medical treatment because you're doing some other modality of therapy here. And just to rephrase for the video, what Livia said is that if you do have a medical condition that you want to address by magnetic therapy, you come here and look for one of the workers of the center, but ask them to direct you to the director of the passes department. Okay, so it's not just anybody that will give you the proper answer. Like I said before, it takes many years of study, so they know exactly what to tell you, but make sure you do look for help if you need. Now to close, we do have the best model for healing therapies. So one of the many legacies that Jesus left us was healing. So he knew how to treat many disturbances of the body, of the mind. He knew how to restore the harmony. He taught his disciples how to do that by the laying of hands. And his disciples did that. On his name, they became an instrument of his divine mercy. And for us, we we are looking for the model. We're looking for Jesus to guide us, not the Jesus of secular religions uh, that says that we need salvation. Now we're looking for the spiritual Jesus, the ones that's here, that's with us along the way, that's teaching us how to improve ourselves, how to evolve, how to help our brothers and sisters, love one another. So it is our way of recognizing his teachings. We understand that we're not going to be able to do what he did because we're merely learning how to love one another now, but we have that model. And also will be a negligence of us not to take his teachings and help one another. So we do this for love, we do this in his honor, we do this in honor of each other. So I hope this tonight give you a better idea of what's happening when we go to our passes. Most important, how our state of mind can change how we receive the passes. Thank you.